8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the Project Egg Show. Today, we're still in Austin, which is awesome. Big shout out to my sister for letting us use the space. Thank you, Amy. Also today, we have the honor of speaking with Sami Rusani, a gentleman who is both a serial entrepreneur and currently has the title of the Chief Revenue Officer of ShipChain. So clearly, Sam's a total badass, but let's find out how much of one.
Right.
How you doing today, man?
The big challenge. Good, man. I'm doing fantastic. How about you?
I'm awesome. And, to really figure that question out and to dive deep into that, I want to know, what is your story?
What is my story? I'll give you the brief version and you can dig into however much you want, right? I'm born and raised in Sweden. So very cold, very dark most of the year. Figured out quickly that that's not where I want to stay. So I started in the music industry, I started actually as an artist in another life, in another galaxy far, far away, right? Toured around Europe and made a lot of connections, but also saw that the managers and the agents were the guys that were taking all the money and we never got any. So I was like, I'm on the wrong side of the fence here, right? So jumped over to the other side, started booking tours, got offered tour management. So I jumped on that, got to tour the world with a bunch of cool artists, and then got into management of artists. So I managed a lot of artists, and then the whole thing came crashing down 2008, 2009. And I was involved early on. I'm old, so I was involved in like MySpace and when that came out, and I had a lot of the big labels call me and like, oh, your unsigned bands are like having more views and friends and plays than you too. Like, what the hell are you doing, man? And I was like, I'll do the same for you. Just send me a check. So that's how I started working with all the major labels, and then transitioned into brands that started contacting me and saying, hey, you're doing all this cool stuff for labels and bands. Is there anything you can do for brands? I was like, yeah, sure. Why not? So started working on a lot of campaigns with some of the bigger agencies out there. And then me and Brian Evans, actually, my long-term business partner now, started an agency. So we did a lot of PR, a lot of marketing, got ranked as an Inc. 500 agency, one of the fastest growing in the US, worked with Absolute and, Fashion Nova and all these big, Wyclef and like all these big names. And then I've always been a tech nerd. So always loved technology, always kept my eye on technology and always figured out how to utilize technology, I feel at least, because like, new technology or whatever, social media. And I always figured out real quick how to use it to my advantage, search engines. How do I make them, function to my advantage? And then along came, blockchain. And that's a long, funny story too, but I just dove in. I took a leap down the rabbit hole and just my mind was just blown with what you could do with all this technology. So looked at a bunch of different verticals where could one expand on this, and found an absolutely stellar team, and we started ShipChain and went into transport and logistics, which is a $13.8 trillion industry. So it's pretty massive, So here we are now doing that, but coming from a long history of entertainment and sales and marketing, scaling a lot of brand building for the big brands, etc. So that's the short version of it, I guess.
Well, I think it's safe to say that definitely on the very high upper tier of badassery.
Oh, wow.
after that.
If you dig deeper, it might go up, might go down. Who knows, right?
I guess we'll find out, right?
Yeah.
So you mentioned that there's a funny story behind the whole blockchain. The whole blockchain piece of your life. I'd love to hear that story. I'm all about stories.
Yeah. I'd love to share it. It's funny. Bitcoin came out 2009, right? And everybody's like Bitcoin, Bitcoin. And I was a little bit late to it. So I maybe heard of it 2011 or so. And I was like, Bitcoin, that's weird. It was really hard to get a hold of and kind of used in darknet, shady spaces, and wasn't really sure. I didn't really understand what was coming. But then Ethereum came out, and this is like, I don't know, what, 4 years ago now, 5 years ago. And I had a friend from Europe visit. Well, first he called me and he said, Sam, you got to check out Ethereum. It's the ish, right? And I was like, okay, I'm not sure what is this. And I looked into it a little bit. I was like, I don't understand what this is. Like, whatever. And he comes over to visit here. And he's like, oh, dude, he wouldn't stop talking about Ethereum. And I'm like, what the hell is this? And at this point, it's like at 50 cents, right? I'm like, all right, I'll look into it. He's like, you got to buy it, man. And I'm like, sure, whatever. So he goes home. I kind of have other things to do, you know? He calls me 2 weeks after. He's like, Sam, I sold my house, sold my car, sold everything I own except for my laptop, and me and my girlfriend moving in with my mom in her house. And I'm like, you're not going to have a girlfriend for long, man. Like, what are you doing? But he's like, no, I bought Ethereum for all that money. So it's about 250K, in dollars. And I was like, okay, once, people you kind of trust and and you're like, when they're this crazy about something, you're like, okay, let's dig into it. So I started digging into it, started reading up on it, and my mind was just blown. Just, wow, this is insane. Look at the opportunities. Not only, further kind of develop, all the Bitcoin purists are going to hate me for saying this, of course, but it's the next step of blockchain, right? Bitcoin is so limited in its capabilities. Along came smart contracts and all this, well, the new stuff, let's not even talk about that, but I was just, wow, it's kind of one, you jump down the rabbit hole, and it's kind of one of those where, you think you have a brochure with 3 pages and you open it. For every page you flip, there's like 500 pages added. You're like, what the hell is it? What the hell is this? This is crazy. And at this point, it was like at, I don't know, $2-3. So I got a hold of a little bit. And of course, I wish I bought way more. But you live and you learn. And off it went, My friend cashed out at, over $1,000. So he made I'm sure in the triple-digit $1 million on that investment. But it's not about for me at least, it's not just about, oh, I can make money, trading. No, look at the technology. Look at how it's really initiated a revolution, a movement, together with AI and machine learning and IoT and all that. But I would say blockchain. Look at the philosophy. Look at the movement that's going on. We're in the 4th industrial revolution. We're changing the world. This is so cool, man. This is something new. And we don't this is like internet in the beginning of the 90s. People are like, it's cool, but where's it going? And now 20, 30 years later, it's like, what? Is there anything else than internet? Like, ask a kid today and they wouldn't even know. Like, go find something at the library. What's a library? Like, I have Google, like, it's just so part of everyone's lives, and in the Western world at least. So
yeah, I totally agree. And look, I'll be the first one to say I really don't know that much at all about blockchain or any cryptocurrency or anything like that, but right. I think it's so fascinating, right? Yeah. And I've talked to my dad a lot about about social media, because that was another one of those things, and he articulated it very well, because he's a business owner as well. He said, way back in the day when people came out with these fax machines, you didn't really know what it was. You weren't sure if you needed it, so you waited, and then it was like too late, and you're like, now I have to get it, right?
Yep.
Then came the cell phone. Then came the computer. Then came the internet. Then came websites, right? So I totally agree with you. I feel like this is such an infancy stage of blockchain technology that, like, imagine 200 years down the road from now.
Oh yeah,
it's gonna be nuts, dude. That's gonna be insane.
But you're gonna look back and see that this is what sparked the revolution, right? I always talk, and somebody else came up with the concept of the 4th industrial revolution. There's people way smarter than me out there, but you had the first one, which was kind of like let's go through them briefly, right? So steam and trade associations, right? Steam completely changed the world. We have locomotives, we got trade associations.
Travel upriver.
Yeah, exactly. Workers could come together and not be used as slaves pretty much, you know. And then the second one came along, and of course, electricity. I mean, when we look back today, steam, hell yes, trade associations, electricity, are you kidding me? Talk about world revolution, right? Third one, e-commerce, internet. Talk about revolution, man. Now, machine learning, AI, blockchain, IoT, we're going to look back, and the funny thing is as well, if you look at the gaps between these revolutions, right? You have steam and electricity. Then you have electricity and e-commerce, and then you have e-commerce and blockchain and AI. And you see what I mean? Like, it's moving so fast now. But it's also, I love what you said about, oh, I don't really understand much of it. And that's the beauty of it. You don't have to. If I'm talking to you about a smartphone, right, an iPhone or an Android, let's not, you know, play favorites here. Do you know how LTE works?
Not in the slightest.
I don't know, and I don't care. Can I upload my pictures to Instagram? That's what I want to know, you know? And the same thing with blockchains. You want to know, can I trace back my food or my clothes or whatever it is to its true original source and make sure that nobody has tampered with the data along the way? Great. Call it blockchain, call it boo-boo. I mean, I don't care. You know, it's like, you know, it's there and it's going to be everywhere. It's the same with, like, do you know what TCP/IP is? A lot of people don't. It's the protocol you use to surf the web, to communicate between computers. You don't know how it works. I mean, it's like, and I don't want to educate people on how it works because who cares? Can I surf? Can I read the news? Can I look at, you know, hot chicks or listen to music or whatever I want to do, right? I mean, it's just, or hot dudes. I mean, whatever you want to do, right? It's right. Just, what can I do on the internet? Can I read my spiritual studies? Can I talk to you over video? Like, you see what I mean? So that's the beauty of it. You don't need to know exactly how it works, except for the fact that it's going to help you with way more transparency in your consumption, way more transparency with your financial, whatever financial platforms you use. It's going to help people, the 2 billion people that doesn't have an identity today and can't get documents such as passports or government help or protection from the police or whatever. It's going to help them get a digital ID that can't be tampered with. It's going to make travel a lot safer. It's going to, you see what I mean? It's just, there's a revolution going on. Join in, you know?
It's amazing. And it's also amazing to me how there seem to be like many different revolutions going on at the same time, because you have the whole cannabis industry just going crazy, just going nuts right now. You have blockchain, cryptocurrency, and then like social media is still a very new phenomenon. Like that one has grown. Social media has grown very quickly. And just, you know, if we look at like the growth potential for blockchain and like the cannabis industry and then social media, I feel like there's a limited number of people on social, right?
Right,
so
right.
There's like a hard cap there. But still, I think social media is still probably in its young adolescence.
Absolutely.
And it's just, that is just fascinating to me. So for somebody who's listening and they're like, okay, I know that I want to be an entrepreneur, or I feel it, I got the bug, or I'm an entrepreneur and I'm doing stuff, but I'm not that passionate about it. And they hear, oh, blockchain, this is going to be around. This is the new revolution. I want to, you know, put my flag down and get a piece of the action, right? How would you go about getting into the blockchain space? Like, how would you even begin that process?
That's a very good question. I mean, I feel as an entrepreneur, of course, you should follow your passion and you know, go to every which space you want and not only chase the dollar, so to speak. But if you find that blockchain or technology is your true passion, and this is where you want to dig in, I would start learning about blockchain, because we have to, first of all, very important, separate blockchain and cryptocurrencies. Angry Birds is not the App Store. Angry Birds is possible because of the App Store, but the App Store offers so much more. Your calendar, your whatever, to-do list, your games, your productivity apps, whatever, right? That's the blockchain. You can build a lot of really cool stuff on the blockchain, even games, right? We've seen the CryptoKitties and all that. So I would start reading up on what is it and how deep do I need to go? Can I utilize someone else's services and kind of build on that? Kind of like, oh, there's an app store. Can I build an app and sell it to people? Or do I really need to build a new app store? Probably not. Do you see what I mean? So what's already there that you can make use of and put your spin on it, your twist on it, right? Or if you're a developer, learn Solidity, learn these languages then you're automatically going to make a load of money because you're in demand everywhere, right? I mean, I've heard rumors of big corporations, the big fintech guys, just putting in a blank check and giving it to people. Like, what's your annual salary? Just fill it out because we're going to make bazillions off of whatever you do. So, just fill it out, So, I mean, definitely educate yourself a little bit about where your passion lies. First of all, is your passion in candy or animals or games or deep technology, or what is it? And then see, how can I use blockchain for this purpose? Because you also have to realize, maybe that's a tangent here, but blockchain isn't the one and all solution for everything. It's not going to change everything. It's not going to change the taste of your vegetables, and you can't lose weight on blockchain. Like, do you see what I mean? Like, it's been kind of preached as this one and all solution for everything. No, it's not. The internet didn't solve everything. It solved a lot of cool stuff, and it made a lot of cool stuff, but it didn't solve everything. Just like blockchain won't solve everything. But if you find an application, go for it. I don't think there's a pathway like, here, do this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and you will be a successful entrepreneur, because there's so many factors in being an entrepreneur, right? And so many factors in going into an industry. But like any area, I know this is a very long answer, but like any area you go into as an entrepreneur, educate yourself about that vertical, the area, the business, immerse yourself in it, go to an almost obsessive level, and then do it better than everyone else. That's how you succeed, I
love that.
Yeah.
I love that. And one thing that I would also toss in there, because I'm fascinated by the idea of helping, like being a springboard for others.
Mm-hmm.
And I forget where this was, but anyways, Jeff Bezos was talking on an interview about his work with space technology, with Blue Origin. And I was really curious, like, what exactly are you doing, old Jeffy boy? What's your play? Where are you going?
Yeah.
And so he was talking about how, in order for Amazon to have become as successful as it has become, needed the infrastructure provided by UPS, FedEx, the telecommunications companies, the internet companies, the data and storage companies. So all of this infrastructure is really, really important. And so what he was saying in the interview is that what he's doing with Blue Origin now is he is building infrastructure in space for other people later down the road to come build on top of.
Right.
Which is so freaking brilliant. It's
absolutely.
So brilliant.
But I'm sorry to cut you off there, but he's doing, like, if you, my old mentor always told me, if you want to become successful and make money in a gold rush, don't go digging for gold. Sell the shovels and the pickaxes.
Exactly.
Because everybody's going to need that. You will probably not find gold if you go digging for it, but everybody's going to go looking for it. So it's exactly what he's doing. He's building the shovels and the pickaxes, right? So that people can come up and like, oh, I need to use this, and then pay him a license fee or whatever, right? Absolutely.
Yeah. A big space shovel and cool space stuff.
Exactly. But exactly. Again, let's look at the App Store, right? Or Google Play Store, whatever. Apple takes a pretty big chunk of whatever money you make on there.
Yeah.
But they're not involved in your coding. They're not involved in your marketing. They're not involved in anything you do. You just have permission to put your app on the App Store, and now you're paying whatever, I forget the rates, but it's like 30% or something like that of whatever you make on there. And considering there's, I don't know how many millions of apps, and I don't know what the revenue for the App Store is, but it's in the bazillions. Yeah, I'll take 30% of that, you know?
Yeah. And if you think about it, apps like Instagram would not have been possible without the App Store.
No.
So that infrastructure, like, that causes so many different reactions in the market later down the road that you may not even be thinking of. So I guess the reason I brought that up was for things like blockchain or hell, even space, even cannabis, you know, whatever. I think it could be a really cool play, and I'm really interested to see who's going to do this, but to build the infrastructure for blockchain to grow with. And I don't even know if that's the right way to put it, because I don't really think I know enough about blockchain.
Absolutely.
But, you know
absolutely. Well, I think that's really what, like, for example, what Ethereum is doing. We're doing that at ShipChain with building an industry chain for the transport and logistics industry that others can build on. We've invited our competitors to build on our chain because it's fully decentralized. We don't own it. We don't validate the transactions. There's external validators. So we're inviting the industry to build on our chain. Do you see what I mean? Just like Ethereum is inviting you to build all these dApps or decentralized apps on their blockchain. That's why you have all these, a vast majority of all the blockchain projects and you know, all the ICOs that happens or CryptoKitties and all that stuff is on Ethereum, because it acts as, just like you said, as the blockchain, the vehicle that allows for you to build some cool mirrors or a handlebar or whatever, pedals and tires and wheels. Do you see what I mean? Like, you can put whatever you want on there. You can even build a new car on top of the car, you know? So that's the cool thing about it. And that's, I think, you know, the philosophical part for me and for, you know, a lot of people, I guess, is that it opens up, it's a decentralization revolution, right? It's disintermediation. You get rid of the middlemen that are just, you know, in some cases, just scammers and bandits. You give the power back to the people, so to speak. I don't think, I'm not an anarchist or anything like that. I don't think, you know, I'm not looking into like, oh, we got to disrupt governments and all that stuff. I just think governments are now learning that, oh, okay, this is happening. Let's adapt. I don't think, let's not get into a political discussion, but I don't believe in anarchy, everyone for themselves and all that stuff. I do believe that people need some sort of framework to live within, to keep order, because we've seen what happens when they don't. But again, not to get too political about it, but that's the blockchain revolution. You know, it gives everybody a chance to participate in validating what's going on in transport and logistics, what's going on in fintech. Why is this bank opening millions of fake accounts? Why is this insider trading thing going on? Why is all this shady stuff going on where we've seen that, you know, sometimes governments are helpless because these organizations are too big. They can't do anything because they would just ruin the world economy, right? And today it's like, that's why, if you look at blockchain, it's when I say you get rid of the middleman, it's like, traditionally there used to be, or still is, in a centralized solution, you have a designated administrator who you have no insight into what's going on there. Are they opening accounts in your name? You don't know. Are they transferring money in your name? You don't know. You can't call the bank and say, hey, I want to check if something shady's going on in your books. Can I have a look? Sure. You know, not going to happen. Same with centralized solutions everywhere, not only fintech, right? But now, on with distributed ledger technologies and blockchain, we can all verify, even if all the information is encrypted. I don't see who owns the accounts, or I don't know it's you or how much you have or whatever's going on. but I know that you have X amount of whatever Bitcoin or dollars, and you can't move more than that. You have $1,000 there. You want to move 10,000? Not happening, buddy. You know, we're all going to say no. And I love how our VP of tech, she usually uses the when we're doing pitches, she always tells the story of the Hope Diamond, right? And I think it's a good kind of metaphor. You have the Hope Diamond, which is the most valuable diamond in the world, right? I don't know how much it's worth, but it's, you know, bazillions probably. That's my go-to kind of value, right? Bazillion. Yeah. But a lot of money. Yet it only has very few guards around it. And why is that? Well, it's because everybody's looking at it. How are you going to steal the Hope Diamond when the world is looking at it 24/7? It's impossible. The same kind of thing with you know, blockchain. Everybody's looking, everybody's verifying and keeping track of what's going on, even though we don't know, you know, everything's encrypted again. But that's just what I love. Everybody can participate, and it makes the world more truthful, I guess, in a sense.
I love that. I love that. So I'm a big believer in levels of consciousness. Mm-hmm. And I don't even think that belief is really a good word to use to describe that. But I just think logically, like, if you are conscious at this level of understanding, then when you raise your understanding and raise your consciousness, you then go to a new level. So just logically, I think clearly that exists. Mm-hmm. On the greater scale of blockchain, mm-hmm. what level of consciousness do you think we are on, and where do you see it going?
Oh, good question. I think we're still at the very low level. We're entering, I don't know, we want to call it the second level, right? It's still in its infancy. It's so new. It has yet to be practically proven, pragmatically like implemented and proven. There are many good cases. I mean, we've done some in ShipChain, and there's fintech and all that stuff, but still in its infancy. But in 5 years, oh my God, the world's going to look different. And I'm not talking like physically different, right? But yeah, it's going to be a very different song we're listening to, right? So I think we're in the very first, maybe beginning of second level of consciousness on a ladder that's kind of infinite if we want to, right? But very early on still. Absolutely. Because if you look at it in that perspective, I would say, like, look at the internet, right? How far we've come from the 90s. But look at all the cool stuff that's coming. You know, it's crazy. Maybe we're on step 6 or 7. In 10 years, we're going to be on step 30, and the internet's going to be devices in your eyes and your brain. And, like, do you see what I mean? The intercommunication mixed with robotics and AI. The opportunities are insane. I mean, we all watch Star Trek, right? So I'm
Duh.
Come on, with a hologram. And,
yeah, I think I love that answer. And I love that you said that the levels of consciousness are infinite, because I absolutely think they are.
Yeah.
And, you know, I'm always trying to better myself and to grow. Like right now, I was just talking to somebody about this, but I'm rereading for the 4th time How to Win Friends and Influence.
I read it every year. Yeah.
It's brilliant. It's brilliant. And like one of my mentors, his name is Ben Gothard. He's actually the last living protege of Dr. Napoleon Hill. And he was talking about how he went to visit Charles Manson, like super evil, totally massively evil, like on a scale of badassery, definitely at like the negative, because
right.
You got him way beat. Anyways, my mentor, seriously. So anyways, my mentor went to visit him and asked him, like, how were you able to do the things that you have done? Mm-hmm. And that freaking evil, manipulative mastermind, truly a genius, evil, but a genius.
Absolutely. Super intelligent. Yeah.
Held up that book. How to Win Friends and Influence People. So after he told me that story, I already knew that book, like, I loved that book and I'd already read it, but that just like totally reconfirmed in my mind, like, okay, I need to just definitely pay way more attention than I have currently.
Oh, absolutely. I believe that influencing people, I mean, I always say sales is the most important skill you can learn in life, not only for business, but for relationships with your spouse, your kids, your family. To get your message through to people, you have to learn sales. I don't care what else you learn in your life. If you're an entrepreneur, learn sales. Okay, then you can hire salespeople that are way better than you, but how are you going to convince them to come work for you if you don't know sales? Like, do you see what I mean? But it's a tool. The skill of persuasion or selling, it's a tool. And just like you said, how to win friends and influence people. I mean, we can talk about religious texts that have been used for very good and very bad.
Yep.
I mean, an extreme example, let's not get too bloody here, but a knife. I can make a fantastic meal and chop a nice salad or carve something nice or present for my friends, or I can go out and stab people. It's a tool, right? And I choose what to do with it and how I want to use it. And it's a powerful tool, just like that book, just like your mind, extremely powerful. Now, what do you want to do with it? That's the question.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. And, you know, to bring it back to the levels of consciousness, I'm a big believer in trying to push myself to higher and higher levels of consciousness, because then I can do more, right? To what you were saying, and you know, be more effective and be better in the world. But also, I think that has a lot to do with, at least my belief of like the purpose of life is. You know, I truly think and believe wholeheartedly that I'm on a journey of continuous growth and self-discovery.
Absolutely.
And that is my purpose, is to be on that journey. And there are a few reasons why, ultimately for me, it boils down to my family. You know, I want to be able to take care of and provide for my family. But I think it's fascinating to me how much we are able to learn about ourselves, about all these different industries, because there's so much we don't know.
Absolutely. And I mean, I believe in immersing yourself in your interests and trying to learn and focus on your strengths. I don't believe in focusing on your weaknesses. I believe in hiring to your weaknesses. I believe in focusing on your talents and your strengths. And like you said, I mean, I think, you know, they say it takes 10,000 hours to become a professional or become really great at something, right? And you're absolutely right with the levels of consciousness. I mean, one of my lifelong mottos has always been, if I'm the smartest guy in the room, I'm in the wrong room. You know, I want to be the dumbest guy in the room. I want to soak up the knowledge and the experience from all these guys and gals that are way smarter than me, better than me, whatever it is, because I don't have that need to gloat. I don't have that need for validation for being the best and all that, because then I'm not being my best. You see what I mean? Like I have to be my best. I have to be in constant student mode. So I'm a big quote nerd if you look at my social media, right? But it's like one of my favorite quotes too is, you know, the difference between a master and a beginner is that the master has failed more times than the beginner has tried. And that's what a lot of entrepreneurs don't realize. They have this fear of failing. And I'm like, how do you think I got to where I am? I crashed and burned violently so many times. But what you see on my bio, those are my rocket ships that went to the moon. Do you see what I mean? That's the good stuff. But I can sit and talk about failures all day long because I've failed many, many times. And any successful entrepreneur will tell you stories about massive failures, you know, in life, because that's how we learn. Like, you can't tell a kid to don't touch the light, the flame, don't touch the flame. Eventually they're going to, because that's how you learn. Ouch, it hurt. Now I'm not going to touch it again. It doesn't matter if you tell me it hurts. I'm going to try. You see what I mean? So, but as you get older, of course, you start listening to people and like, oh, okay, if you learn that from experience, maybe I'll take that in and and try a different approach, you know. But when you're younger, usually, and at least that was for me, I didn't listen to anyone. Screw you. Like, who are you? Like, I'm the best. Screw the rest, right? The young mindset, and now I'm gonna go out and kick ass. And I got my ass kicked, and I was like, okay, that was kind of humbling, and you know. That was amazing. I love it. I love every failure I've been through because it made me who I am and where I am today, you know?
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And I love what you said about the master has failed more times than the beginner has tried.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's profound.
It is.
It's profound.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, sorry.
No, you please go.
I was going to say, I meet entrepreneurs, I would say daily almost, right? And I have entrepreneurs contacting me all the time online, asking for advice, etc. And that's the main thing I see is that the fear of failure, or that's a different topic, but the totally embracing of the hustle grind, 24/7, burn the candle from both ends, whoa, wake up and grind and all that. And I'm like, you know, being an entrepreneur is so glamorized today. Don't fall into that stupid. Work smarter. You know, work hard, but work smart. Don't just grind. I see all these people. Oh my God, you know, this guy pulls in 10K a month. He's a true hustler. And I'm like, well, how many hours does he work? Right? Oh, you know, 200-hour weeks kind of thing, right? And I'm like, so he's making minimum wage. That's not very smart. Like, I wouldn't work 200 hours a week to make 10K a month. Like, that's just stupid. You're burning your candle. You don't have any time for friends or family or, and again, sorry, I went into a whole different topic here. But so when talking to entrepreneurs, I kind of try to lift them out of this whole rise and grind mentality and grind hustle and all that BS really, and try to get them into, well, let's focus. I'm a big, like the 80-20 rule rules my business and life and somewhat my personal life too, where, you know, 20% of your effort should give 80% of your results. And it doesn't have to be exactly like that, but it kind of means, you know, focus on the core of whatever you're doing and leave everything else out to get the best results. And, you know, going back to what you said, I think it's really important for entrepreneurs there is no fear of failure. Go out and fail, especially if you're a young entrepreneur. Go out and fail for 5 years. Who cares? You're still a baby. If you start at 18 or 20, when you're 25, you're still a baby. Nobody expects you to be a genius at 25. Go out and fail. Fail, you know, massively so. That's the best thing you can do. When you start failing massively when you're 40, 50, 60, then it's not as good as when because everybody expects a youngster to fail. Of course you should. Go out and fail, fall over, you know, get up on the horse and start riding again.
I love that. I love that. And, you know, to tell you the truth, the more that you can, like the more that you can fail, the more you're going to be able to pivot and shift and learn about what's actually going to work. And
Absolutely.
Like that to me is just massively, massively helpful. It's literally life telling you, hey pal, that's not working. Why don't you try not that? And so you can say, okay, now I can focus over here. But you may actually find something that works for a bit. And then you can bring that with you and you just keep adding on to the things that work. And yeah, I think it's huge. I have a question. I have a question for you. Big surprise there. But when did you start asking the questions of other people and really trying to listen and learn from the mistakes of others?
You know, I think it was after I've turned 25, 26 or around there. I started my first company when I was like 17, 18. And I've really had like 2 jobs in my life. Always been an entrepreneur. I've just complete problem with authority and can't work under anyone else, right? So like most entrepreneurs, you got to realize your limitations. But yeah, because I went out and I was cocky and I was the best, of course, you know. 19, 20 years old. I'm touring with rock bands. I'm like, oh yeah, of course I'm the best, no doubt about it. And then life kind of has a way of humbling you, bring you down on your feet and knees. And you're like, all right, maybe I'm not the best quite yet. Maybe I need to actually, see what's working here and ask, advice from other people. So I think after I turned 25-ish, started really digging into how to be more successful, not only with making money, but also with doing something that means something to yourself, and I found that to be extremely educational. And I found that that's where one of those, always have steps in your life where you're like, oh, this took me to the next level of my career. And that was definitely one of them. Just start being humble and asking questions. Hey, I'm not very good at this, but I'm looking into it. Is there any way, I can ask you some advice, and usually, see, that approach worked for me a lot. I know there's been a lot of posts on social media lately where it's like, oh, if somebody asks you to pick your brain during lunch, or no, say no, because they're just wasting your time. And what are you getting out of it, and et cetera. But I never really used I want to pick your brain and just get a ton of information from you. I've kind of, hey, I would really like your advice on something. If it's okay, you got to eat anyway. I'll buy you lunch. Let's sit down wherever you want, and we'll use that 30 minutes or an hour, whatever you have time for. And I'm asking for advice. And of course, let me know if there's anything I can help you with. This is what I have at your disposal: my knowledge, my skills, my network. But I really need, would love some advice. And sure, some people are going to say no. You're always going to have rejection in life, right? But a surprisingly amount of people I've never met or talked to, people in very high positions where people would be like, don't try to get a hold of that guy or girl. Like, what? You're crazy. They're this super executive or agent or manager or whatever they are. You're never going to. And they're like, yeah, sure, why not? I'm hungry. I'm up for some pasta. Let's go get some. All right, cool. And I sit down with these people and build a connection, ask for advice and offer help. That's very important too, right? You gotta offer help always. How can I be of help? How can I be of service?
That's brilliant.
Yeah.
That's brilliant. And you know what? That is such a great way to go about it, because the people at the top, from what I've noticed, and I've interviewed hundreds of people at this point, over 160 people, amazing, a lot of whom are very successful, including billionaires, New York Times bestselling authors, badasses named Sam, TEDx speakers, really top-notch people.
Yep.
And they're really cool, first of all, and they recognize the value in somebody who's coachable, and they're looking to duplicate themselves.
Yes.
They recognize that they don't have enough time in the day to do everything that they want to do. So they're going to want to impart their knowledge into you so that you can help them. And so the ones who are thinking like that are the ones who are actually going to be able to help you and coach you and teach you and really, really give you an opportunity, a door that you can go through if you so choose, but you never know until you ask. Right?
Absolutely. Exactly. You got to ask. If you don't ask, you won't know. I mean, what's the worst thing that can happen? You get a no.
We'll move right back where you started.
It's not like there's only one successful person in the world. Go to the next one then if you get a no. Do you see what I mean? And you're absolutely right. I love that mindset where, no fear. Go for it. You have to. I had a meeting yesterday with a VC, big VC, who was like, we only invest in teams where the CEO has failed at least twice.
Wow.
Because then they know, he's done the first round kind of mistakes, and they don't want to be involved in the first round mistakes from amateurs, right? So they know that they're failed, and of course that's a very important thing about failure is learn something from it. Don't make the same mistake twice, because then what the hell are you doing, right? But as long as you learn from it, so I think that's very important. And then there was something else I was going to say, but I kind of lost it. But it'll come back to me. But I just think that the mindset of not being afraid of failing, the mindset of ask for advice, you know. Oh, I was going to say, people recognize talent, you know, and people always want to work with people that are talented because either they see themselves in that person, or somebody that's just moving up, you know, the success train is rolling. Of course I want to be on board the success train. What, are you kidding me? I mean, some of these entrepreneurs that I meet are like, some of them have it, you know, you're just like, okay, this kid is going places. Of course I'm going to help out. Of course, because down the road, you know, we're going to do business together, or we're going to be good friends, or maybe they're just a cool person, right? You don't always have to have a business ulterior motive going on, but like everybody recognizes good mindset, hungry people, and that are hungry in the right way, and they have initiative and they have this drive. Hell yeah, I want a part of that. You know, I don't want to be, you become as you, was it the saying? Like you become what you associate with, or whatever. If your friends are all, you know, weed smoking, nacho eating, you know, unhealthy bums, then that's probably what you're going to become. But if you hang out with people that are just better than you, hungrier than you, more passionate than you, and they're doing great things, hell yeah, you're going to be inspired. Those are the people I hang around. I hang around people that have, not that I care much about my following, so to speak, but they have a bigger following than me. They have more money than me. They have more companies. They're more successful. They're better in almost every way possible, because hopefully, I think, at least if you ask them, they recognize I have that drive, I have that hunger, I have that passion. Now, of course, that crew always is different from when I was 18 to when I'm, you know, 500 years old as I'm now. So the crew always changes, right? So then I get to their level, and of course I still keep them around as friends, and they got this drive. I help them up, they help me up. But then the next level of people you want to associate with comes along, right? And they're even higher level and higher. So you just climb that ladder continuously with people. And again, it's not only about making money or being greedy or anything like that, but it's just another level of drive and intelligence and mindset and experiences. You know, you want to hang out with people that they can give you some advice, you know? And like there's also always a crew. I don't know. I don't really like the latter kind of metaphor here, because it's not a level of where you're in life, somebody's better or worse than anyone, but just so that you'll understand what I mean. It's like, and then I have a crew with my team, like under us, that are looking up to us, that are part of that, like, oh my God, because I was there once, right? Now these guys are hungry, they're excited, and wow. And I help them because I see their hunger. I see me in there. And I look up to these guys, right? And then the whole ladder just shifts and everybody moves up. So that's kind of the idea of it, right?
I love that idea. Just want to go ahead and say that, put that one on the record.
Thank you.
And I'm curious to learn, because I'm 24, right? So I feel like I'm still pretty young.
Yes.
And, you know, as I say that, one of the guys that I mentor, he's 13, and
Yep.
he's, dude, this guy is going to be a freaking phenom in his day. I'm so excited for him. Like he literally commented on one of my YouTube videos, and you know who you are, pal. You're doing awesome. You're rocking it. I believe in you. But he commented on one of my YouTube videos like 3 months ago, right? And he's like, "Hey Ben, I love what you're doing. How can I do it? What you're doing?" So I was like, okay, message me on Facebook. Let's go. Because I recognize that. I was like, he's 13 years old and he wants it now. Like, Let's go. It's game on, right?
Of course.
So I was like,
you rock, dude.
Yeah, exactly. So I was like, all right, here's what you got to do. Right. And so I laid out step by step how to like start your podcast. Okay, get this. It is now 3 months later. He has published over 30 episodes.
What? Holy cow.
He's had people like John Lee Dumas on his podcast. He's had people like Evan Carmichael on his podcast. He is just kicking ass.
Wow.
And like, I'm so proud of him. And like I recognized his talent And I was like, I am going to help you out. And I've invested a serious amount of time now into really helping him progress. And like, you can't put a price tag on that.
Nope.
Because, and I'm not saying that I'm all that by any means, but what I'm saying is that like, I was able to accrue this knowledge and share it with him.
Yes.
And like, that was so valuable to him. But I also see the value in helping to bring him up. Because
absolutely,
I don't even know what's going to happen later on down the road, but I know it's going to be awesome.
Absolutely. Exactly. And that's, I mean, you're absolutely right. I mean, it doesn't matter if you're all that or not. You are at a certain level with your experience where you can help him. Do you see what I mean? And even at that, if I was going into podcasting, I'd probably hit you up because you have way more knowledge than me about podcasting. You see what I mean? So you seek out the people. So when I'm talking about like levels, it's not only about, oh, this guy makes this much and this guy makes this much. Doesn't matter. Sure, if you want to make more money, ask people who have more money than you, obviously, right? But ask the people that know what the hell they're doing. And that's one of the big things I always advise entrepreneurs too, right? Because all of a sudden the cousin and the sister and the plumber is going to tell you how to run a podcast, right? And it's like, well, have you ever done a podcast? No. Then why are you telling me how to run a podcast, right? You talk to the guys who are running podcasts. That's it. You know, you want to talk financials? You talk to the accountant. No one else. You know, you want to talk sales? You talk to a guy who sells. You want to talk design, et cetera, right? You don't talk to the plumber. And even though, hey, no shame on plumber, I have two of my best friends are plumbers and they're making tons of money. But I don't ask them about advice on building a website. Do you see what I mean? So the same thing there. So even though I have way more experience in other areas in life where I could probably help you, if I was going into podcasting, I would ask you for help because I have no idea on how to do that. Do you see what I mean? So you got to find the people that are good at what they do.
Yeah, I think that's brilliant. That's brilliant. So I want to shift gears a little bit.
Sure.
Because I am massively curious
Uh-oh.
about about when you were in your musician days.
Ooh, okay.
I want to know about your band. Like, what did you play? What did y'all play?
So I was in two bands, touring bands. I played drums in one and guitar in another.
Nice.
Yeah.
What kind of music did y'all play?
I would say alternative rock, very like early Foo Fighters inspired kind of thing.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Do y'all still have like music out and recorded and stuff?
This is pre-Spotify and all that. So this is like late 90s kind of thing. I still have some tracks on my computer somewhere, I think, or in some external hard drive. I don't think you can find it online anywhere. Maybe thank God, but yeah, I mean, those were fantastic times because, you know, what happened was I was an extreme introvert as a kid. First time I had a gig, I was playing guitar, I threw up for like half an hour before, and I didn't have a drink or anything. I just threw up. I was so nervous. I was the kid who was like, oh, we're doing a presentation tomorrow. Great. I'm sick, you know, not coming in. So I was just very much an introvert and very shy. And that just drastically changed when I got the opportunity to stand on stage. I remember it and will remember it until I get dementia or die. You know, I'm throwing up, I feel nauseous, crazy, and I walk up. And even though there's like 10 people in the audience, right? You know, first gig probably sounds like crap, but you're up on stage. People are looking at you and expecting you to perform. There's a certain amount of pressure on you, but there's also a certain amount of just like, I'm going to show you what I can do. Do you see what I mean? Like, I'm up here, I have to perform. All right, let's rock and roll. Let's do this. So as we got to touring, and all of a sudden we had a little fan base, you know, we never played like thousands and thousands of people, but we played maybe 2,000 people at the most, right? And people started learning our songs and singing along. I mean, when you're playing on stage and people are singing along to your stuff, oh my God, it's like, I don't think any kind of meditation or whatever, drugs or whatever, could ever get you there. It's just magic. It's nirvana. It's just like magic, right? So that kind of triggered the whole, now I like public speaking, and I started liking it after that, and now of course I mean I speak all the time, and I love it. I'm super comfortable on stage, and I don't you always get a little butterfly, and you know I think you're probably a sociopath or psychopath if you don't, but no, but so I've worked with a lot of major artists, and they all get nervous before, but even being the guy that, so when I work with management, being the guy that sees your artist go out on stage and just rock it. I mean, that's a strong sense of pride right there. Like we made this happen. Now you guys go out and deliver, So to me, that was always like, wow. Because I don't feel like I don't have that need for stage light or validation. I like it, but I don't need it a lot. Like, that's why I don't post videos on social media. I don't have a need for a lot of validation. I just don't mind it. I have a passion for educating at this point in my life, right? At that point, I had a passion for spreading my message through music, right? So yeah, long answer, but that's how that worked.
That's amazing. I've actually been playing guitar for probably 7 or 8, maybe actually 9 years now.
Oh, wow. There you go.
And I've been playing since the 7th grade. And it was definitely not at the extent of touring Europe, but
right.
Yeah, we played in New Orleans, in my hometown, and we
nice.
Played. I still remember the very first show.
Yeah,
it was in this tiny venue in New Orleans, right?
Yeah.
And we got up there, and it was like during the winter break for school.
Mm-hmm.
And we were I think this was probably winter break of the first year of college.
Yeah.
And like some of our high school friends were there, some of our college friends were there, and there were like, definitely not that many people in the crowd, but there were still some people there.
Yeah.
And it was so cool. And we just got up there and we just played. And nobody knew our songs, but it was so fun.
Magical.
Fun. Yeah. And it's like this unknown craving
mm-hmm.
is met when something like that happens. Yes. It's like you didn't even know that it was there, but you figured out it was there because it got like totally 100% satisfied in the most epic of ways.
Yes. Yes. Oh. And I think music really, I mean, I feel a lot of passion and a lot of that fire for building businesses and helping entrepreneurs. And yes, let's do this. Mm-hmm. But I still think music has that extra spark, and I think I love, there's a beautiful kind of saying, right, that goes, this world has 2 languages really, and it's math and music. Math explains how stuff works, and music explains how we feel about it. So it's just, with music, you can express emotions, you can receive emotions for people that you can't receive at a vocal or body language level or whatever. It's just in the music. So,
you're so right.
Yeah.
You're so right. And, I feel very similarly to you in that I love business and I love entrepreneurship and I love personal development. It really is my purpose to be on this journey of continuous growth and self-discovery. There's just something about music. Mm-hmm. There's something about music that I feel like it deeply and profoundly impacts people in a way unique only to music, right? And I'll give you an example. What I mean. In college, this was after we had played. We weren't really doing much as a band anymore. The most talented guy in the band, his name's Michael. Shout out to you, bro. Still one of my best friends to this day. He's like a brilliant jazz guitarist
Wow.
and a producer and a DJ, and he also plays bass and piano and drum. Like, he's seriously talented.
Wow. Amazing.
So Michael and I and one of our other really good friends, Everett, also extremely talented, we got together and we wanted to throw a music festival.
Nice.
And so we did it, and we launched it in New Orleans. There's a local university there called UNO, and you can look it up. We called it UNO Finals Fest, or Finals Fest. And the idea was 2 weeks before exams started. That's when people really start to buckle down and study.
Right.
So we put our festival the Friday before that happened. So this is like the last hurrah, the final throwdown before you hunker down to study.
Yeah.
And so,
love it.
We got a bunch of really talented local musicians. We found some really talented local artists who came and set up different tables, and they showed their paintings and sculptures and things that I can't even describe with words. It was just so cool. Somebody brought like a GameCube, and everybody's playing Super Smash Bros. Nice. Game. It was super awesome.
Yeah.
And then we of course got all of our moms to help us run the food table, and we sold food. Right.
Amazing. I love it.
And so one of the things that I decided to do, and you can look back on my personal Facebook page, way down. You have to scroll way down. It's there. But I wanted to live stream all of the sets, all of the show.
The artists,
yeah. And to be there, watching this thing, that I had such an integral hand in putting together, while the music is impacting me and everybody else. Like, dude, it was so cool. Like,
but it is.
Describe that emotion.
It is. I mean, and I feel like music is such a powerful medium to bring people together.
Yes.
Nobody cares about race or political views or whatever. When you go to a good show, it's you and me, man, and we're rocking out to this band. I don't care if you love Trump or not, or if you're whatever kind of person you are, right? If you're a gun nut or not, or if you're, it doesn't matter if you're black, white, brown, whatever. It doesn't matter, right? It's just, hey, yeah, let's sing along to this song. It's amazing, you know? So I love the power of music and how it brings people together and how it helps set the mood or emphasize a mood, and how it's really powerful in tying memories. I mean, you know, when you hear certain songs, instantly brings you back. You can remember details like crystal clear. Like it's just amazing, the power of music, man. And I haven't found anything else that does that brings people together in unity so strongly. No political rally or religious rally or whatever you want to do, none of that can bring people together in unity like music can.
You're so right.
Yeah.
What was it like for you at such a young age, touring Europe, being surrounded by this lifestyle? Being immersed in that awesomeness.
Yeah. I mean, it was fantastic. And at the same time, you had to grow up real fast. Definitely. There was a lot of, I mean, I have to just be honest and say, I mean, luckily, I had a healthy view on many things. So I always stayed away from, like, I've never done drugs in my life. I stayed away from it because I worked in music so long and I've seen what it does to people.
Yeah.
I'm not against it really in any way. People are on their own journey. I just stay away from it myself. I'm not like, anti, whoa, I'm going to preach about it. Not at all. You do whatever you want, man. Like, you know, but so I had a healthy view on it, but there's a lot of temptation on the road when it comes to everything. And there's, you know, sex, drugs, and rock and roll. That's a saying because that's how it is, right? So it was interesting experiencing all this, but still keeping, I always stayed out of the bubble. So I jumped into it and kind of hung out and visited, and then I withdrew again, right? And that's because of that skill, I got the tour management gigs because people saw I wasn't there just to party and you know, hang out with groupies and all that stuff. They saw that, okay, this guy has a healthy mindset and his head between his shoulders, so to speak. And it's like, all right, so I toured, I mean, I could write a book, man. Like some of these tours are just like complete debauchery, right? So you grew up really, really fast. But I also met some of the coolest people I've ever met. You know, musicians, artists, people that used to work or still work at labels, management, publishers, concert bookers. I mean, some of these guys are like, I'm still good friends with. Every time I go to Germany, Austria, Switzerland, Prague, Italy, I still hang out with these guys 10, 15 years later because we just bonded over music and cool experiences. And again, it's a great way of making new friends. As long as you don't get stuck in temptations, the machinery. I say it's the same thing. You know, I live in LA. You got Hollywood, the glitz and the glamour and the fake and the superficial kind of thing. And that's why I don't live in Hollywood. You know, I jump into the bubble. I meet now. I'm getting pretty. You know, I'm pretty good at sniffing out the BS, right? But in the beginning, oh man, did I get burned a million times because I trusted people or listened to people or whatever. But I've also met some of the coolest people, and we've bonded over these usually music or entertainment experiences, which creates a bond that you can never have unless, I mean, you and I can have like, oh, I'll be like, man, this is a great guy, great interview. I mean, what a cool dude. I would love to hang out with you and grab a beer or whatever, right? But it's not until we've had that beer and gone out on town. I mean, I don't know if you drink, maybe you don't, but until we go out and experience something fun together, that next time I call you, you call me, it's like, hey, bro, you know, now we're connected. So I think, and music is usually involved in that. That's why music is so important in movies. It's so important in experiences. You go out to bars, whatever it is, right? So, yeah, I think that's, again, a long answer, but I think that's how it works. You know, you can make friends, but you get that deep connection when you find something mutual and you experience stuff together. It doesn't have to be alcohol involved or whatever, but it could be a trip or, you know, some fun experience or whatever. But yeah.
I totally agree. And I'm not sure if this is actually true, but I read somewhere that when you're either playing music with somebody, specifically if you're playing music with somebody else, but you also get some of this effect if you're listening to music with somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
But that is one of the best ways to get intellectually in sync with somebody.
Mm-hmm.
Almost vastly superior to any other method.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because like you have to be on the same beat. You're like, you're all on the same mission. You know exactly, like you're just so synced up.
Yes.
That I believe that's part of the reason why those bonds are so strong, because the people that I was in the band with, like they're literally some of my best friends to this day.
Yep.
And it doesn't matter what happens later on.
Yep.
Because those experiences, I'm pointing over there like they're right over there. But those experiences were so profoundly impactful that like nothing's going to change those relationships.
Exactly. Yeah, it really brings people together and bonds people. And I think it's like you have, you know, in music, when you're playing a song, you have like you said, you're synced up for a goal, and it's to kind of enjoy your playing and you're getting to the end of the song and following the chord structures and all that. So you have a framework to work in always, right? With music, there's always a framework you have to stay within, and everybody stays within it. You can go crazy and go into like prog jazz and all this crazy stuff, but there's still a framework. You got to play kind of within the scale and the same beat as everyone else, or it'll sound completely nuts, right? So it's not like two people that are just like, oh, you're in a suit and like, oh, let's go have let's go have a cocktail, and then somebody comes out half naked and jumps into a fountain somewhere, and it's just like, no frameworks, crazy. You're like, I don't feel any bond with this guy. Like it's nuts, right? But so within music, there you always have you're all in the same framework, in the same beat, and playing within that, so to speak, right? So
yeah, that's awesome. So do you ever see a future where music and blockchain can come together?
Oh, absolutely. That was one of the first things I looked at, of course. Yes, there are a couple of cool projects happening. Haven't seen it really come together yet, but something that's very big, for example, is royalties paid out, right? Publishing. Usually, as an artist, you get paid twice a year if you're lucky, right? And then there's always paperwork issues with, oh, who's a songwriter, who's a composer, what, or who gets what, blah, 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 blah. Even to get the rights for syncing your stuff meaning you put your track in a commercial or in a film, for example, or if a YouTuber uses it on, Twitch streaming, whatever now, right? But you got to go to the publishers. Somebody's got to, if you're not a big artist, then the publisher's going to take 8 weeks get back to you, and oh yeah, sure, they can use the song, yeah, but the movie's already out. Like, these are extreme examples, but
right.
So having blockchain where everything is executed in smart contracts, so you immediately get paid, boom, 10% to you, 20 to you, 30 for you, whatever goes out, right? You can immediately approve usage of a song, where the publicist, all they have to do is going to click a button, and music and the artists or composers, producers says, yes, click a button, boom, it goes, you have the rights for the movie now. You see what I mean? Like how smart contracts work. There's projects where you can invest in artists' songs now, for example, right? There's distribution platforms that use blockchain and smart contracts so that you can get paid a lot faster for streaming and all that stuff as well. So I think blockchain is going to have a significant impact on the music industry, blockchain and AI as well, right? And they're already using, in its very, very infancy, but they're looking at it. So yeah, one of those huge industries, transport, logistics, fintech, insurance, and all that stuff, music and entertainment. Same with movie rights, right? I've seen a couple of platforms pop up now where you can invest in films, or the film distribution rights come out, and they're trying to take on Netflix and all that stuff. But yeah, yes, absolutely, it's already happening.
I love that. I love it. So, Sam, I'm really interested, because of the nature of where this conversation has gone, which I'm so glad it did. Very, very glad it did. I want to ask you for some advice.
Sure.
I'm 24. What, like, if you could go back and give your 24-year-old self advice, like, knowing what you know about me and our conversations, like, what advice do you have moving forward for me?
For you, I mean, we talked about not having fear of failure, always a big one. And talking to you, and I think many 24-year-olds, what I would say is start learning about money management, because I sure didn't. So I made my first fortune and I lost my first fortune, so to speak, because I had no idea on how to handle financials. Now I have a financial mentor since years back, of course, but one of the first things he told me that really got stuck with me, and I said, man, if I was 18 today, I wish I would have followed this advice. But he says, poor people spend first and save what's left. Rich people save first and spend what's left. So manage your money. Let the money work for you. That's what money is, a tool to make more money. Start saving. Start with a savings plan. I don't care what anybody says. Start saving for your 401k. Have a portfolio of super safe, just wealth preserving stuff. Have a medium risk one in emerging markets where you make a little bit of money, and have your 10% play fund where you can go into crypto or whatever crazy stuff you want to go in, penny stocks, or, never, ever gamble with the 90%. 10%, you can go to Vegas, go to crypto, again, do whatever the hell you want. And that's the money you buy your stupid shit with. That's the money, like my financial mentor. Sometimes he pops up with a new motorcycle or a new car or funny stuff. And I'm like, oh yeah, and he's like, yeah, because this was from that 10% of play money that I have, from 90% of, my 90% savings are here, 10% play money. I won or I made an extra, whatever. His 10% is way more than my 10%, but he's like, oh, I made enough money to buy a new Tesla on a crazy high risk investment. But he also loses that investment sometimes. But he's like, oh, that's the fun money. He's like, I never buy any stupid shit on the 90% I have. That's all for wealth building and wealth preservation. So that's a big one. And I know I'm digging into this might not have been what you would have expected, but if you want to grow your money, super important. That's saying, the difference between rich and poor people and how they handle their money, learn it. Let's just live by it, and no fear of failure. Absolutely. And, there's a fun saying that I'm going to give you two quotes that I really love. And one of them is, don't try to please everyone. You're not chocolate, right? So, don't try to please everyone. Find your niche, your 80-20. That's it. Go for those. No one else. And, I can give you a million quotes, but I think, one of the other ones, of course, is whether you think you're right or wrong, you're right, right? So, it's all about your mindset. And nothing is inherently bad unless you think it is and all that. But another big one that I really love, and I learned it recently, actually, and it's, if you're going to eat shit, don't nibble. So meaning if you have a hard task to do, if you got to own up to something, don't nibble it. Just open up, go at it, eat that pile, and move on. Do you see what I mean? Like, and these are, they're fun, but they are really, when I look at my life, profound advice that I wish somebody would have given me, and most importantly, that I would have listened to when I was young, which you're 24. You seem like a very well put together gentleman and taking advice. You're talking to all these amazing people. Most guys your age are not there. And when I was 24, I probably wouldn't have listened to myself, and that's fine. But that's really the advice I can give, because everything else falls into place if you pursue your dreams. Ask questions. Don't be afraid of it. We already went through all this, right? Ask people who are smarter than you. Go for it. Just go. If you're crazy enough to think you can change the world, you probably can. Rock and roll, man. No fear.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much, Sam. I really do appreciate your time on the show today.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Truly been an honor.
Yeah, oh, likewise, man. Likewise. Great hearing about your experiences as well, and talking about music is, who doesn't want to talk about great music experiences, right?
Right? Absolutely.
And business and entrepreneurship and blockchain. So that's amazing. Thank you so much, man. I appreciate you having me on here.
Yeah, and I just want to say to everybody watching and listening, thank y'all very, very much. Your time is very valuable, and I am grateful that you choose to share it with us today. So thank you.
Thank you.
Y'all rock. I love y'all, and I'll see you on the next episode. Take care now.